Good morning, everyone. My name is Christy Denny's, and I am so happy to be meeting with you today. Today, we're going to go over IMAP. But in the meantime, yes, you do use IMAP quite a lot. You would use IMAP for inputting a new listing in the MLS. You would and you can use IMAP to create a CMA. You would and you can use IMAP in order for you to do a little farming and prospecting. And we're going to do a combination of multiple things today. So you get a well-rounded experience with the program. If you've never taken a class with me before, my name is Christy Denny's. I'm one of your Miami trainers, and I'm hoping that after today's class, you feel a lot more comfortable with IMAP. This class is being recorded and should be available to rewatch on two places. Inside of your Miami Gateway on Miami Realtors Live. You can find that icon right over here. We also have our YouTube channel, youtube.com/miamitrainers, where you will be able to rewatch this seminar. So we're going to get started on miamirealtor.com. We're going to scroll to the middle of the page and we're going to access our Miami Gateway. We're going to give this a click. It's going to open up all of your products and services, and we're going to locate IMAP in all of the places that you can find it. One of the places that you can find it is right on your dashboard. It's actually next to realtor.com, professional search, RPR, here's IMAP, and Realist. Why? Because it is a tax roll service. So they're going to group them all together. You use it to verify property information, stuff like, is this property a foreclosure? Who is the owner? What kind of roof is this? Is this under distress? So a lot of great information is available here. Aside from being able to find it on your dashboard, it's also linked to properties in Matrix. I'm going to scroll up. We're going to open up Matrix, and I'm going to show you where you're going to find it. From here, IMAP is located on the top, floating blue bar. We have the IMAP icon, which will take you direct. And then your other option, let me open up a property, is going to be available inside of any property card. So if I open up this property, I have IMAP available as one of the icons. The benefit of taking this class is now you're going to be able to simply click on that IMAP tool and be able to research and deep dive into any of the properties that you're interested in previewing. Another option that I want to talk to you about IMAP is inputting the listing in the MLS. It does require a little help from IMAP. You input a listing using the Add Edit button on the top right-hand corner of your screen. Once you click on Add Edit, you can choose the next step, which is adding in a new listing. Once you add a new listing, you're going to select the property type. In this example, I'll go ahead and select condo, co-op, townhouse. When I get to this step, it's going to ask me that I need to add a new cross-property listing. And there's a note, must use tax auto-pop to enter the square foot fields. So to do that, I need to start a new listing from the IMAP tax roll below, which is available here. This is a pre-existing IMAP tax data input form. So I would select a combination of the county and info on the right, like the property ID, also referred to as a parcel ID, sometimes referred to as a folio number. It's the combination of numbers that lay out that property. Our street number, street name, or unit number, and owner information. I don't need to input all of the information in order to find what I'm looking for. So I'm going to go ahead and select, for example, Miami-Dade County is where the property is located. And then I'm going to start filling in my info. I'm going to put 8540. And then I'm going to put the street name, which is 133. And then I'm going to add in a unit number. Now, as you can see, I haven't added the owner's information, and I also have not added things like Southwest, Northwest. I haven't added street, avenue, or road, I want to be able to put in minimal information and click on search. So I'm going to scroll down. There's a looking glass. I'm going to click on search and I'll be able to find that information. From here, it's our job to verify that the correct record was pulled. I can click on fill to continue the process, but this is my tax ID. I'm going to verify the owner information, the property address, and then I can go ahead and click on the button fill. So this is another way that you're using your tax roll. Actually, when I click into my location information, a lot of the yellow icons on this first tab are filled out for me because I used it. The primary reason that they want you to auto-populate is going to be square feet, which has also been incorporated by the system. Moving into general information is where you can find things like year built and more. Now, there is still quite a lot of detail that we need to add, but I would recommend that you take this class. This is called Matrix 401, and this is going to take you through the process of inputting a listing. Okay, so far we learned where can I find IMAP? How can I add in a new listing using IMAP? Let's go ahead and segue back into the original IMAP icon. So I'm going to close out Matrix by clicking on the X on the top. I'm going to go back into my Miami Gateway and we're going to locate IMAP. So we're going to get started up at the top. This is a new search that you can start. The next tab over are search results. And then we also have a help center where you can contact, access online documentation, access a PDF manual, frequently asked questions, and then you also have access to the IMAP website. Now, towards the middle of the page, we have some tabs. We have a tax search. Within the tax search, you can look up a property that you want to do some research on. You can confirm information inside. You can also do a little bit of farming and prospecting. When it comes to the MLS search, you're able to access any of the properties that have been listed in the MLS. Now, inside of the MLS search, the main search and the most popular search is actually the expireds. It's called expired properties not relisted. This is, in my opinion, one of the best ways to find expired listings and to be able to do some prospecting that way. And we are going to talk about it. Other than that, anything that you're going to search in the MLS, I think it might just be more comfortable to use the matrix system or the MLS system. Your next tab over is called the foreclosure search. So these searches are going to be geared towards locating foreclosures. So for example, we're going to do some practice search. We're going to do a lis pendens search. So we'll be back inside of the foreclosure search shortly. The next tab is our search area. So IMAP has access to all of the different counties in Florida. So you have everything nice and neat in one section. In today's class, I'm going to be working inside of Broward County. So I'm going to go ahead and lift this bar. I'm going to locate Broward County and select it. So anytime you're going to do a search, you just want to make sure that you're in the correct search. Right on top of search area, you have my save searches. So you can save searches inside of IMAP, and you're also able to hover your mouse next to the drop down arrow next to my save searches to come back here and reload them. If you'd like to delete any of them, you can by simply selecting the X. Now let's talk about what you have within your search fields. So under tax search, MLS search, foreclosure search, you have multiple tax fields that are available for you, or input fields. These are interchangeable. So for example, if I review here, I have owner name, property address, parcel ID, subdivision select, property zip code, sales date, price, building area, year built, and property use code. I also have start or search type, starts with, contains, equals to, greater than or equal to, greater than is one of. So if you click on that drop down arrow, it's the same options, you can interchange them. If I click on owner name, for example, again, you have the searches that I mentioned, but you can also interchange them for other options. So we're going to be doing that as we preview and as we create searches. When I scroll down, you'll have a picture of the map that you can also use. And then you also have the ability to start a search by clicking on the big Start Search button. I want to take it easy. And the first thing I want to teach you is, how do I search a property? Now, if you're interested in researching a property, for example, for a buyer or a seller, you can always go into Matrix and it can give you some initial information about the property. But you want to keep in mind that if it hasn't been listed in the last 10 years, you also want to jump into IMAP to review and continue to research that property. Either way, I would do double research. Check inside of the MLS, take a look at what's going on in there, and then jump into IMAP. How do I search a property address? There's already a property address tab selected for me. We have the word contain, and I can begin to start an address. Sometimes you're going to have an example where a customer can be like, well, it's 1600 Northwest something in Plantation. I know I was in the zip code 33322. So you don't have a complete address, but IMAP will allow you to do your search anyway. So I'm going to do my search. First option, we're going to change and move into Broward because it's in Plantation. My next option is input what you gave me. So I'm going to do 1600 Northwest something. So I'm just going to do 1600. I'm going to scroll down. Let me remove that space and then click on Start Search. So once I've clicked on Start Search, I can see some of the properties that are going to be available for me here. So I can go ahead and review my properties until I find what it is that I'm looking for. This is quite a lot of properties. So here's another tip that I want to show you. Without having to click on new search and starting your search again, what we're going to be doing is we're going to be using the menu on the right-hand side. And we're going to be using a tab or an option called Refine This Search. So when you click on this button, I can go back to my original search and not have to restart. Okay, so I got a little more information. I got Northwest. So I'm going to scroll down and I'm going to start my search. Nothing. So without Northwest, let's use some more information she gave me. We know that it's in Plantation. So I can click on the drop-down arrow and we can look for property city. From here, I can pop in Plantation. Then I'm going to scroll down and I'm going to start my search. Now I have 30 results and I'm a little closer to finding what it is that she's looking for. So this is another option. Let's go ahead and click on Refine This Search. Let's say you have the complete address. You could do 1600 Northwest 100 in Plantation. So I'm going to go ahead and pop in that information and click on Start Search. From here, I'm going to have access to that info. So I'm going to go ahead and click on a property card. But before I do, I have access to the address, the owner information, the last sales price, when it was last sold, that property parcel or folio number information, the market value is here, the assessed value. I get to see if it's a waterfront, if it's the type of parking. We have a garage, 5 bedrooms, 3 baths, 1 story with a pool. We've got living area, total area, the year built, and the land area. So initially, a lot of great information right at a glance. To open it up, just click on the field, and it's going to give you a property card. We're going to talk about what you have available here. Now, mine might look a little different from yours only because of the map view in the middle. Now, that map view is customizable. On the right-hand side towards the bottom, we have our map settings with a drop-down arrow that you can use. So we have, for example, we had a street map. We've got a Aerial photo. We've got a parcel is one of my favorites. So I'm going to go ahead and click on that. All right, let's talk about what's available for you. On the left-hand side, you have property information. You also have a small question mark for any inquiries that you may have. It's going to give you different topics that you can preview. You also have your property type. This is residential, and I'm able to give you a tip here. Now, how can I confirm if our owner, which is listed here, Michael and Tara Lynn are our owners? How can I confirm that Michael lives in the home, or if Michael has purchased this property, Michael and Tara Lynn have purchased this property as an additional property or an investment property? This is our property address, and this is our tax mailing address. So if the tax mailing address is different from the property address, then that is not the home where Michael and Tara Lynn live. So they will always live in the tax mailing address section. So that's a great way that you can confirm that. We also have some contact information here that we can use. IMAP will have it sometimes, not always. And I do recommend that you always check your numbers against the do not call list. Now from here, we can also check the property use code. This is single family residential use code is available here. We also have our land use code as well, our zoning, lot size, waterfront information, and we have the subdivision info here, which is Jacaranda Lake section 13. We also have your township, your range, your section, your lot and block, latitude and longitude, and your legal description. All great info that you might need when you are verifying details with the property or inputting a new listing. Towards the middle of the page, we have value information, the building value, the just market value, assessed year of the information. We got the taxable value here. We can confirm if there's an exemption. There is. We have the homestead exemption, total exemption of 50,000. The land value, all of it is available here. It is in a special taxing district, what we can see or review on this section. It's called the Old Plantation Drainage, Plantation Stormwater Assessment, and all of the details regarding special taxing districts. You can always go directly to the county tax collector. They've linked it for you here. And you can also minimize info or expand info that you'd like to see. So for example, we've got percentage change, total assessed value, all of the details. Now, as I continue to scroll down here, we have sales information. This can show us all of the different times that a property has been purchased. Well, some of the different times it's been purchased, we're going back here to 1986. We're also able to see the sales date and the deed type. We can also verify if a realtor was part of that sale because they go ahead and link us right over here where we have our realtor icon. Again, you also have access to the county clerk of court's website towards the bottom of that page. Clicking, we can minimize or expand. The next section is called your building information, where you can verify what has been built in the property that has its proper documentation and has been verified. They've got their permits, and you can review basic property details here. For example, the bedrooms, the baths, the building area, living area, when was it built. We also have our unit information. If there's an adjusted area, it'll be listed here, how many stories the property has. And then you also have the features. Towards the bottom, we have the building sub areas that are also listed off for us. And then as I move down, we have our assigned schools. So as you can see, packed with details, you have the school name, you have the grades, how many children are enrolled, if any of them are magnet schools. And then, of course, we have our school ratings that are available and the distance from the home. For more information, you can go to National Center of Education Statistics. These are for 2020, 2022. You also have the Florida Department of Education 2022-2023 linked here, and then about the school ratings. Towards the bottom, you can also let your customer know if this is in a flood zone. So as we can see, this is in zone X, area that is determined to be outside of the 1% and 0.2% chance of floodplains, with additional links towards the bottom. Moving up to the right-hand side, we're going to review some of the options that we have. Now, one of my favorites is that you have MLS listing info, which will give you access to detailed report, which is what we're looking at now. And then you have your building sketch that's also available in some cases that you can preview. Okay, here that is. I'm going to go back into my detailed report. You also have find comparables. So if you want to use the system to find comparables, you're going to go ahead and click on here. So on the right-hand side, we have find comparables as well. So we can give that a click, and that's going to bring us right into this page. Now, if you are following me along, mine might look a little bit different than yours, and I'll show you why. It's going to be based on the criteria that I've selected. So on the right-hand side, we have your subject property details, which is the property that we are initially comparing with other homes to be able to give an estimate to a customer. So initially, in the beginning of a CMA, we have your last sales price, last sales date, our market assessed value as well, our total area, living area, bedrooms, baths. We have our map. This is going to be that subject property. Everything in the blue is the properties that are currently being compared as comparables. Towards the middle of the page, we have projected sales price. We have it as a estimated range based on value ratio. We have a range of 576,300 all the way into 813,500 with that midpoint as 703,400. Towards the bottom, we have the estimated range based on price per square foot, giving you the low end, that mid price, and on the high end, we have statistics about the comparable properties that we are currently reviewing at this time, with even an explanation of the calculation to provide your customer. Now, these are some of the default criteria that I use whenever I want to pop open a listing within Matrix and pull those comparables. So I did show you where IMAP is linked inside of Matrix and how you can click on that link. We know now that we can click on comparables and we can pull up this page. The comparable or comparison criteria that we use is lot size plus or minus 20%, living area plus or minus 20%. I think initially the system sets you at a plus or minus 50%, which is much too large. 20% is small enough that the customer cannot really feel that big difference when they walk from one home to another when you're comparing once they're inside of that house. 50%, much, much too large. The third option, most of the time it's going to be set at 1 mile. We want to look within the same subdivision. So the subdivision here is Jacaranda. So we want to stay in Jacaranda. And the last tab over, you can get real tight with your with your comparables at 3 months. You have 6 months, a year, you can actually go back 5. So from here, I want to set it at 6. Now, how do I set these as defaults? Right above sold at last 6 months, you have the tab that says set as a default. We're going to click on this. And this means, again, anytime that you open up these stats or the comparable options, these are already be pulled in for you. Not to say you can't change it. So I have quite a lot of comparables that are available here. I have 9. So let's say I want to click on that drop down and update it to 3. And then I'm going to go ahead and not set it as a default, but update my criteria. I'm going to pull down. I have newer comparables, and I can verify that 1, 2, 3, 4 of these comparables were sold by a realtor. I also have access to that last sales price that's available for me here. This one's on the lower end and it wasn't sold by an agent. If I wanted to continue to check on this or verify this, I can click on the link. If I want to simply remove it from my comparable, I just uncheck it. Once I uncheck it, it's going to update my projected sales price. If I wanted to share it with a customer, very easy to do. On the right-hand side, I have the ability to email this page. I also have the ability to save this as a PDF. So let's say I want to email it. I'm going to give this a little click. My recipient's email will go on the top. Let's say I'm going to send it over to Tyson. My subject, comps to consider, my property address, etc. So I do have to input my entire signature. This is type only. And then if I myself want to receive a copy, I can check off send CC to myself, and then I can send this as an email. Now the system's going to give me that update letting me know your message has been successfully sent. But this is going to go through IMAP to my customer. So a better way to send out comps, or at least through IMAP, agents prefer to go ahead and click on save as a PDF. When they do so, it's going to save that PDF to my computer, and then I can go ahead and from my own email, because it'll be here, from my own email, I can send this out. So it comes out through me. Okay, so when you're doing a comp like this, you are only comparing the size of the home, where it's located, and properties that have been closed. So it's not a full complete picture, but it does begin to give you a really great range, which is perfect for a buyer or initial CMA. To learn more about the CMA, I do recommend the following classes: Matrix 301. I also recommend Matrix 301 and CMA Workshop are two really good ones. All right, on the right-hand side, what else do you have? You have residential MLS statistics that are available from that property. You also can click on this link. It's going to give you some different graphs that you can view. We can also update those graphs. So we have sold inventory in the area. So we have sold listings in the zip code 33322 over the last 2 years. It's going to show you that property count compared to the year over year, 2021, 2022, and it's going to give you an explanation. You have your MLS sold count is going to be the bar. Then we have in the blue line the MLS sold price, and then in the yellow we have the MLS sold days on market info. So you have that median price point right over here, and then you have days on market. So quite a lot of inventory or information in the same graph. If you prefer data, just scroll down so that you can review that info. Okay, so for example, April 2021, there was a count of 41 sold listings with a median price of $355,000. The days on market at that time, so the time between active and sold was going to be 51 days. You can also switch over to inventory. You'll have the same inventory in the zip code 33322 over the last 2 years with our data. You also include absorption rate. So how long is it taking for properties to sell? We have new versus sold in zip code 33322 over the last 2 years with our data. And then we have all sales prices. So any of these pages are also available to save as a PDF, email from this page, so you can create quite a presentation with IMAP. Let's move down. I also very much like you have the county pictory here. You also have the demographics that I'm going to take a look at. I can choose how tight I want to get around that property. So for example, initially I have it set as 1 mile radius, but you can go as close as 1/4 of a mile. In that area, you have 1/2 mile, you have 1 mile, all the way out into 15. It's going to give you demographics in the area, like, for example, how many persons, households, and percentage of children. It's also going to break it down by age on the right-hand side. Are they owning? Are they renting? How many persons are living per household? And how many families are in that area? We also have demographic information regarding the house median year built. So more or less, how old are these houses? The income per capita is also available here. Average household income is in this section, average home value, and average rent. education information, family types, and places of employment are here. What are their occupations and year built distribution? So if you have never worked the area and you're determining maybe is this a good area for me to farm, yes or no, you can verify that detail or some of those information or some of that info on this section. So for example, I think this is a little low, but if the average home value is 340,317, how many properties would I have to sell in this area to meet my quota or my goals for this year? Moving on down, you also have Bling maps that are available here, Google directions, you have Google maps, and then you also can go straight into RPR property detailed pages from IMAP, which is another great tax roll service. If you have not used RPR, I will be giving this class this afternoon. So if you want to register for the 1:30 Zoom, we will be going over RPR. This is a little of the information. So I'm going to click back on property tax. This is a little of the information that you have access to right from IMAP. I want to do some more practice searches with you. So I'm going to move back into new search. Why? Because let's say I did my comps, I reviewed this property, I maybe got a listing, I want to work this area, I like the demographics, and I want to send out a mailer to that community. I want to show you how you can search that way. So I'm going to click on new search. It's going to move me back into that initial tax search, confirming our search area or our county. And now I want to show you how you can search using a subdivision. There's a few ways. You have subdivision select equals to, and then I can go ahead and click on here. It's called Jacaranda. So I'm going to get entries starting with I through J. I'm going to give that a click. And once you clicked it, that input changed. I, Delwood, West Condo. That means all of the communities named between those initials, we're going to populate here. So I can see that we have quite a lot of Jacaranda. So I can just look at everything that's Jacaranda, or I have the different areas that I can specialize in. There's also Jacaranda Country Club, Grove, Estates, etc. So I can select exactly the area that I want. I'm going to choose Jacaranda in this example, and I'm going to go ahead and start my search. And from here, I have 3,050 results of different properties in Jacaranda if I wanted to go ahead and begin to send out a mailer. Now, how could I send out a mailer? Because that's quite a large area. So I'm going to do a little bit of sorting before I create a mailer. That button called Refine This Search. Let's say I do want to specialize in Jacaranda. I want listings. So who I need to contact is the owner. So I want to make sure that that's who I'm speaking to. So I'm going to change one of my options here. I'm going to change property zip code to owner is occupied or owner occupied as my tab equals to, and I'm going to say the owner is occupying that home. So I just want to speak to decision makers. From here, I can start my search. And now from 3,000 some, I have 2,333 results that I can go ahead and start communicating with. Let's say I want to further refine this search. In all of Jacaranda, let's say I'm mostly interested in the single family home. I can click on the property use code, and you have all of the different property types available here. Let's say I want that single family home. Start search. Okay. And now I have all of my single family homes, and I can start to do a mailer. The next step I would do, I just want to make sure I'm not marketing to anyone who already has a listing in this area. So we're going to use the tab in the middle that says results not sorted. I'm going to give this a little click, and then I'm going to choose sort MLS status ascending. Once I do, anything with a green flag is a property that is on market. So I would simply uncheck anything that's already listed in this community. Now, is this a good sign that there is active property at this time or property that's under listing? I believe it is. That means that there's movement in this community. And I'm going to uncheck, well, let's see, how many do we have? Not too many. We have some that are pending as well. So let's say past 32. I would uncheck any of these active properties. I'm going to uncheck the pending. Somebody who just purchased their home is not going to be interested in, well, they might, but in selling, I went ahead and uncheck them. Once you uncheck them, scroll back to the top and it says the status of some properties have been temporarily changed. I want to commit these changes. That means any of the properties that I checked off are going to be grayed out and not incorporated into my mailer. How do I create a mailer? I can create mailing labels by clicking on Create Mailing Labels. I'm going to give that a click. Now from here, I want the owner address. And from here, I can replace their first name if I want. And there's a drop-down arrow, and I can choose current resident, postal customer, resident, homeowner, new neighbor, etc. Okay, I guess we'll do homeowner. All right. I want to remove any duplicate results. I only want to retrieve labels with valid zip codes. And then from here, I can choose the Avery that I'd like. Scroll down, generate labels in a PDF format, and I am ready to begin my mailer. I have my details, and they're all here. Perfect. So I'm going to give this a click. Now, my next option. Let's say, let me refine this search. Let's say from here, I do have my Jacaranda customers. I have owner occupied and I have my property use code. Let's say I only wanted customers who have a phone number listed in the area. So I can do kind of like a double. I can send out a mailer and I can also give them a call. How do you find properties that have phone numbers? Like I mentioned, some will have phone numbers and some will not. So here's a tip on how to pull only the property cards or the results with phone numbers. We're going to change any one of these. So I'm going to use sales date. I'm going to click on here and I'm going to look for phone number. Here we have it, phone number contains. Now all phone numbers are fairly similar, but they all contain a dash. So you're going to just add in a little dash. Once we've added that little dash, we're going to scroll down and we're going to start that search. And voila, out of the 2,000 well, I think we started like close to 3,000. We have 1,590 results, but we know that these do have, they do have phone numbers. So I can click on here. And I know I have a phone number. This is a great example. This is on the DNC. Okay. So I hope you guys like that tip on how to find those phone numbers. Again, how do I export? We always want to use that center column. We always want to sort by MLS ascending, remove any of the properties that are on the MLS here. So we have about 16 of them, and then refine your create your mailing labels. All right, let's go ahead and continue to refine this search with other options that you can do. Let's say you wanted to do a campaign from, instead of owners, you wanted to shift your focus to renters. Or you can work with them to purchase a property. So from here, I'm going to change owner occupied to no. So the owner doesn't live here, so it's an investment property for them. And I'm going to be able to contact the renter because if the owner doesn't live here, start search. And now from this area, I have 39. Now, I only have 39 because I'm also looking for phone numbers. So let me refine this search one more time. Let me remove that little dash and start my search. And now I've got the renters in the area, which is 389. This is, again, a nice tight search from all of the different property in the area where I can focus on just these individuals. I don't have to blanket market to everyone to access the renters. Let's do another one. Let's refine this search. Let's say I'm interested in helping families who are delinquent with their property taxes. That could be one of those first steps that they are moving into distress or financial distress. So what I would do is I would remove owner occupied and I would look for taxes are delinquent, which is right over here. And I'm going to say in Jacaranda, I want to find the customers or the homeowners whose taxes are delinquent. Property type, it says single family. Actually, let's see. Let's see if there's any. Start search. And I have 12. I have 12 where I'm going to MLS status ascending. Okay, there's just one, but I do have 12 where they have not yet paid their taxes, and this could be a good start to contacting them about assistance because that could be some insight as to why they may have to sell that property. Commit changes, and I can go ahead and create that mailing label. Let's do another one. Let's go into refine this search. Okay. My next option that I want to do with you guys is another way to view a subdivision. Now, you don't necessarily have to use subdivision select, which we did show you how to do it that way, but you also have subdivision input. So if you already know the name, you can start, for example, and as I write it, it's going to begin to populate that info for you. So that's another little tip that I wanted to show you. Let's look for those expired listings because I could go and create many searches on this side. There's so many different combinations that you can create here. But I want to move into our next option because we still have MLS search and foreclosure search. So I'm going to move into MLS search now. Under MLS search, my favorite is the expired properties not relisted. So where it says listing status, it's already here for us, equals to, click on the drop down. The area that you want to search is going to be expired not relisted. Why? Because if I search any expireds on the MLS, or if I use maybe Remind is another option, RPR will also give me expireds, but IMAP is going to give me expireds and already let me know the original listing agent or this property hasn't been relisted again. So I'm going to focus on this section. I'm then going to select a city of interest. So we have city, let's do clicking on here, maybe the city of Hialeah. So I'm going to go ahead and click on Hialeah, and then I'm going to scroll down and start my search. Now, how many do we have? 3,377 properties that were expired, never relisted, and that is quite a figure. So we're going to refine our search and get a more doable chunk. So I'm going to click on refine this search, and we're going to add in some parameters with a date. Another option. So let's look for expiration date. I'm going to go ahead and just change the address option. But as you can see, you can change whichever ones you'd like. Expired date, greater than or equal to. So I want anything that was expired after October, let's do September. After September 1st of 2022 to current date, expired, not relisted in the city of Hialeah. Start my search, and I have 226 results that are available here. If I want to further refine, let's click on refine this search. Let's do property type, and let's make it single family. Start my search. And now I have 78, a much more doable chunk where it's a single family home in my vicinity, for example, that I can start to prospect and work with. Okay, so this is another easy peasy search that you can do. I'm going to click on refine this search. And if you'd like, you can always take a picture of the screen, but this class is being recorded and will be available for you hopefully this week. Okay, but you do want to give me some time to edit out the info. Moving into our next section, we're going to do a little bit of foreclosure searching. So I'm going to give this a click. We're inside of the foreclosure search. On this area, I want to show you the Liz pendants. So how can I find property that has already received that first notice that it's under distress? And then that gives me an in or a way that I can help these families to avoid that foreclosure process, maybe with a short sale or some additional assistance. Now, anytime that you are pursuing to help anyone in a distressed situation, there is certain tact that we want to use. If you've never worked a short sale before or a foreclosure, we do recommend working with your office, a mentor that can help you through the process until you're more familiar. So from here, I'm going to go ahead and update my search. I'm going to look for Liz pendants, give that a little click, equals to, and I'm going to say yes. So I'm looking for persons that have received that Liz pendants notice, and then I want to focus in on a specific city. So I'm going to change my property zip code. I'm going to change it to city, and let's say I'm interested in okay, let's say I'm interested in Palmetto Bay. So I'm going to give this a little click. And I have a few of the properties that are available that have received their Liz pendants in this area. To continue to research that, I'm also able to give the property card a little click. We have our initial info that we can look at. We can also scroll to the middle of the page where we can find our foreclosure details that are also available here. I also want to show you that you have access to reviewing that case using the court website and the case number that appears here. So if you wanted to do that research, I would click on the link, the court website. I'm going to change it to the local case number. So I'm going to give that a click. And then I'm going to go back and verify that info. So we're doing 2022. I'm going to update 2022, the sequence. So I'm going to copy the sequence here, right click copy, move back in and paste those figures, case codes, and the last digits. The case code is CA, and then I have 01 CV. So I'm going to move back in here. It was CA 01. I'm not a robot, and search. And now I have access to the files, right? So I have the local case number. I have the state case number. I have the case status is still currently open, the filing date, judicial section, and case type. I also have access to the party information, the total number of hearings, and any of the dockets are going to be available here. Clicking on that plus sign will expand that information. And I also have the ability to click on the document to continue my research. So again, I can show you where everything is, but I do recommend either a mentor or some guidance when you work these systems. Let me click on the X. All right. That is the foreclosure details. So I hope you guys like that. Let's move into tax search. Let's do one more. Let's do one that I think you guys are really going to like under the tax search. It's called the sales deed type. Here's that sales deed type equals to, and then you can choose, okay, do I want to focus on affidavit of death or joint tenant? Right? So if you work that type of real estate, you have it here. Do I want to view deed in lieu of foreclosure? Another really popular one that has to do with life changes is the interfamily transfer and dissolution. This time can happen. This can sometimes happen even with a death in the family. It can happen for maybe a divorce in the family. So you can access this information. You also have the probate court documents. You also have a quick claim that you could do. Let's say I'm going to do the interfamily transfer and dissolution. And with that one, I'm going to add some additional info. Like for example, the last sales price, I'm going to set it as 0. So this means that it was passed from one person to another. They didn't have to buy it. And then I also want to add that they don't live in the house. So I'm going to choose owner occupied. So I'm going to say they don't live in the house. No. What else can I add? Let's say the house is also delinquent with taxes. So we're going to choose another one, and we're going to choose taxes are delinquent, and we're going to say yes. And the property types that I'm interested in working are going to be maybe single family. And I'm looking at Miami-Dade County, so let's start this search. And I have 149. Now, like you can assume whatever you'd like from the search that I made, but these are all telltale signs that these houses may be distressed and they may need additional assistance. They're not paying their taxes on the house. They don't live in the house. They didn't have to purchase it when they got it. So maybe this would be a great pool of persons that would be interested in selling that house. So my first step, results not sorted, MLS status ascending. There's a few of these. So out of 149, there's already 4 agents who have made the best of it. So I'm going to uncheck these, commit my changes, and now this is another example that you can use in order for you to begin your search, or in order for you to start helping these individuals using IMAP. Reminder how it is that I can create my labels, right-hand side, create mailing labels. This is going to the owner address. Remove duplicates, only retrieve labels with valid zip codes. Choose your Avery and create labels. And they're up. What about recently sold? We should mark it to them also. Recently sold. Let me click on refine this search. This is the initial search that I made. And let me look at sales date, and you can input the sales date here for recently sold property. Here is the drop down arrow, and you can go back, for example, recently sold when? In the last year, in the last 12 months, you can go back on the calendar and find that info. You can add that, you can add the sales date. That's a good option. All right, let's say, I want to show you another tip. Let's say I'm interested in learning about the area around where I live. So I'm going to input the property address. And I'm going to click on Start Search. And I'm going to choose the home that I live. And from here, I want to get to know, or I want to do a mailer using the map in the middle. So I'm not sure if you guys saw, but I'm looking at a parcel property type map. On the right-hand side, you have different icons when it comes to the map. You can normally start in the middle is where the map shows you, and it's going to give you exactly where your parcel is within the community. And you can choose to go either to your left to get closer, all the way to you're just within the parcel of that home, or you can choose to come out all the way to the right and have a really big area, right? So I'm looking at like Calusa Club, stuff like that. If I wanted to focus in on a particular area, you also have drawings that you could do. So for example, let's say you have your radius, you also have a square, you also have a polygon where you can search and choose. And if I want, I can look at my map, either small, medium, large, or extra large. And it'll download for me that little map. But from here, let's say I want to section off some of my options. So we have foreclosure here. We have canceled, closed, pending, expired, and active. Let's say I want to focus on the expired properties in this area. Of course, they're not expired relisted. Let's say I want to focus on the expired. I can then take my map shape, give it a click, and then it says left click and hold down on one corner and drag to the opposite corner and release. This is how you can tell that when you clicked on the shape icon, it took it. So I'm going to click just like it said, and I'm going to pull across the screen and down. Now, when I release it, what will happen is all of the properties that are foreclosure within my map will appear as results. I'm going to release it. It says that it's loading my map, and I have all my results here. Cool. That's another way of searching. If you want to search using the map. Okay, so I'm going to click on new search. We're going to do a quick review of everything that we did today. And then I'm going to wait for you if you're interested in joining us for RPR this afternoon. So we did start in the Miami Gateway, and we talked about where you can access IMAP, how you can access it in Matrix. We also talked to you about where you can access it as an individual icon inside of your dashboard. Within IMAP, we did talk about different tax searches that you can do. We did parcel searches, full searches. We did CMA. We reviewed the data of a property. We did a little bit of prospecting. We created labels. We sorted through MLS status so that we know not to target or not to market to individuals who are already under contract or have a listing. We also learned some things about the MLS search, how to find those properties that have been expired and not relisted. We also learned how to layer searches. So for example, we added the expiration date to this search so that we can really refine that search. And we talked about the foreclosure. We did get to be able to find the list pendant search, and we also were able to find that info on the county court website. We talked about our settings, our new searches, our search areas, the different counties. And within Matrix, we also used IMAP to import the tax property data into the MLS so that we also another step ahead on how we can do it. So with that, guys, it's been an absolute pleasure to be with you this morning, and I hope to be with you this afternoon. I'm going to work on this recording, and once available, I'll be sure to send it out to you. If you want a copy, you can always check in on our website, which is www.youtube.com/miamitrainers to give you access to our YouTube channels. If you would like me to send you an email, then please request it at christy@miamire.com. You also have your trainers that are available for you at trainers@miamire.com if you have a tech question. The first available trainer that is not with class or with a member will contact you. So I hope you enjoyed the class. It was a pleasure teaching you. Thank you so much, Tyson, for all of your help in the chat and with the questions. And see you guys later. Thank you for being Miami members. Bye.